Let me ask you a question that I think about a lot. Because there's a lot of people buying these days. By whom have you been bought? Yeah, sure, you're not a sheeple. Not like the people who've been taught to believe everything that they hear and never question it once. But you know something? Most of those people are just a dunce because they don't understand that the hearing ain't clear if it doesn't really come through your oratory ear and go into your cranium and get processed a bit. If not, you're just a stupid hypocrite out there in the world walking around proclaiming things that you don't really believe because you really don't know how yourself to receive instruction. I'm talking about authority. I'm not talking about whining about being a minority. I'm talking about doing the right thing when God calls on you, because he said there's going to be a lot called, but the chosen are going to be few. So when are you going to answer to the call that God's given? When are you going to start living the life you should be living instead of playing Christian, instead of playing church? It seems like you're never finding anything because you're always on a search. When are you finally going to say, okay, here's what I'm thinking. Maybe I should quit smoking and cussing and drinking, and maybe I should start being the guy God's called me to be, instead of saying, okay, world, you know, I kind of agree, but I kind of don't, and I kind of will, and I kind of won't, because you're always walking that line, walking that fence, thinking everything's fine. But someday you're going to be called to task. Someday God might have a question to ask. He might say, hey, boy, what have you done with your life? Have you really lived it all and given to Jesus Christ? Because what I called for was obedience, not foolish sacrifice. And you may think it's funny that you just gave your money, but you never gave time to God like you gave to all the honey that you saw in your life, all the gravy that came down. You always were giving into everything around. But when it came to God, you just said no. He said, give me everything, and you wouldn't let go. So what will you do when it comes down to you? Will you give to your king what he wants, everything? Or will you just say, you know, I'm okay. I got what I got, and I buried it in my backyard, and I hope that you know that my heart isn't hard, but there's things in my life that I just can't control. See, I'll give you a little, but I won't give you the whole. And that's the problem that most of us are in. We give a little to God and a whole lot to sin. So let me ask you this lately. Where has your heart been? Do you need to take time to reconcile to him?